Hi dear friends, how are you all? Welcome to YouTube channel HR Tutorials India. In this video, we'll be discussing about income tax calculator for the financial year 2022-23. The question strikes in everybody's mind that how the income tax calculation takes place. So in this video, let us discuss how the income tax is calculated and how to exempt from taxes as much as possible. In India, the Income Tax Act imposed income tax on income earned by individuals, HUF, partnership firms, corporate LLPs, etc. And the income tax slabs differ from different rates prescribed as per the different range of income. Being a salaried employee, it is mandatory that every individual needs to pay the income tax based on the income tax slabs which they fall under. The new income tax regime was introduced in the budget 2020 and which came into effective from the financial year 2021. As per the new budget 2022, there are no changes made to the income tax brackets, which means the income tax slabs are same as it was for the financial year 2021-22. The taxpayer can choose the old regime or the new regime, depends upon their will and wish. If the taxpayer wants to choose the old regime, which includes various deductions and exemptions, whereas the new tax regime has no exemptions and no deductions. How to calculate income tax? Now let us see how the income tax is calculated. To calculate income tax, we need to have all this in hand. We will be understanding different categories which are as follows. Income tax slabs, old tax regime as well as new tax regime, where anybody can pick up old tax regime or new tax regime as per their will and wish. In this income tax calculation, we will understand what is income tax rebate. We will also discuss the difference between the old tax regime and the new tax regime. We will also discuss which tax regime is better to opt to avoid extra tax payment. We will understand investments, deductions and exemptions. We will also calculate the TDS, that is nothing but tax deducted source. Finally, we will discuss how the income tax is calculated with different examples with different salaries in an Excel format. Income tax slabs for financial year 2022-23. Now let us see what are the income tax slabs are for the financial year 2022-23. Here we have three columns, that is income, which changes from 0 to 15 lakhs, the old tax regime and the new tax regime. So now let us see what are the income tax slabs are with respect to old tax regime and new tax regime. Here, if the income is between 0 to 2.5 lakhs, the old tax regime is 0%, whereas new tax regime is 0%. If the income is between 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs, the percentage of tax in old tax regime is 5%. And in new tax regime it's the same, that is 5%. And if the income is between 5 lakhs to 7.5 lakhs, the percent of tax in old tax regime is 20%, whereas in new tax regime is 10%. The range of salary between 7.5 to 10 lakhs, the percent of tax is 20% in old tax regime and 15% is new tax regime. If the income is between 10 lakhs to 12.5 lakhs, the percentage of tax is 30% in old tax regime and 20% in new tax regime. Whereas if the income is 12.5 lakhs to 15 lakhs, the tax percent is 30 in old tax regime, whereas 25% in new tax regime. Finally, if the salary is above 15 lakhs, the percent of tax is 30 in old tax regime, whereas the same, that is 30% in new tax regime. Tax exemptions and limitations in salary. Now let us see what all the different types of exemptions and limitations on salary are. This will help you to calculate the income tax. Section 80C, deductions on investment, that is 1.5 lakhs is the limitation. Now let us see what are included in section 80C. Home loan principal, EPF, life insurance premium, ELSS, tuition fee and NPS, fixed income deposits, Sukanya Samriddhi Yojana, daughters age 21 years, PPF, VPF, public provident fund and voluntary public fund up to 15 years, post office deposit, national savings certificate. These all are covered under section 80C. Interest on home income, section 80C and section 24. And the limitation is 2 lakhs. Section 80 TTA, deduction from gross total income for interest on savings account, the limitation is 10,000. Section 80E, deduction for interest on education loan for higher education, and there is no limit for interest on education loan. Section 80EE, deduction home loan interest for first time homeowners, and the limitation is 50,000. Section 80G, differs, deduction for donations towards social causes, and the percentage is 50. Section 80D, deduction on premium paid for medical insurance, 25,000 is the limitation for family and 25,000 is the limitation for parents. Together it could be 50,000 under section 80D. Section 80DD, deduction for rehabilitation of handicapped dependent relative. For 40% disabled, deduction allowed is 75,000. For 80% disabled, deduction allowed is 1.25 lakhs. Section 80 DDB. Deduction for medical expenditure for self or dependent relative. The actual amount paid for medical treatment is 40,000. For senior citizens aged between 60 years and 80 years, the limitation is 1 lakh. So dear friends, hope you understood the tax exemption and limitations on salary. Income tax calculator. The income tax calculator helps the individual to select the old tax regime or the new tax regime, which will help in tax liability on the income. It helps in serving a proper assessment on which regime to select and get most benefit out of it by paying less tax as much as possible. In simple word, income tax calculator is a precision tool which will help you to calculate the tax liability based on the data which you have. It is completely free and gives an error-free result. But incorrect data will impact the calculation. Therefore, you should know what data need to be entered and how it has to be calculated in the income tax calculator to get the best benefit out of it and pay less tax as much as possible. Now let us see how to calculate income tax in an Excel sheet with different slabs, that is selecting old tax regime and new tax regime with different exemptions, deductions and exemptions. And finally, we'll see how much tax is calculated and how much tax need to be paid to the income tax department with the help of income tax calculator. Now let us get into the example in an Excel sheet format. Friends, I have taken an Excel sheet wherein you can see different columns with different names and etc. I'll be explaining in detail each table so that you will understand how the income tax is calculated with different slabs. Now let us see the middle table, which is nothing but the income tax slabs, that is old income tax slab and new income tax slabs. As just now we have discussed that the income between 0 to 15 lakhs, what is the percentage of taxes as per the old tax slabs and new tax slabs. So hope this table is clear for you. Now let's get into the next table, that is labels, old tax regime, new tax regime. Here you can see fields like income, investments, taxable income, slab 5%, 10%, 15%, 20%, 25%, 30%, tax rebate, surcharge 10%, surcharge 15%, cess 4%, income tax annually, income tax monthly. To calculate the income tax, we need to fill all these details. Here the details are already filled, but we'll see how to fill these details with different salaries. Here the income is 9 lakhs, wherein the 9 lakhs has been pulled from the income from this table. Here the income means CTC, the cost to the company. Then comes investments. Investments is nothing but what all the exemptions and investments what an employee declares. To calculate the income tax annually and monthly, we need to fill all the details in old tax regime and new tax regime. So to fill all the details, we need to have the numbers. That is nothing but income is 9 lakhs. So we have pulled the income from the above table, that is CTC. Then comes investments. Investments is 3,74,400. So this investment is pulled from the investments and exemptions table, where you can see 3,74,400. We'll see how this 3,74,400 is calculated later. Now let's stick to this table. Now we have completed income, investments. Taxable income. Taxable income is nothing but income minus investments will give taxable income. Where the investments are deducted from income, the remaining balance is taxable. And this taxable income is to be checked where it comes in old tax regime and new tax regime. In old tax regime, the investments and exemptions are adjusted, wherein in new tax regime, the investments and exemptions are not applicable, hence it is 0. Here the income is same, it is pulled from CTC. So 9 lakhs is the same. Whereas the taxable income in new tax regime is 9 lakhs, whereas the taxable income in old tax regime is 5,25,600. If the investment is 374,400. We will discuss about this later. Then comes taxable income is 12,500 in both. As the percentage of slab is 5%, it is same for both 12,500, 12,500. Now let us see how this 12,500 has arisen. So as per the income tax slab, if the income is between 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs, it is 5%. So let us see how 5% is calculated. So I have opened a calculator wherein we need to calculate the 5% of tax between 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs. 5 lakhs is taken as higher amount, and the difference between 5 lakhs and 2.5 lakhs is nothing but 5 lakhs minus 2,50,000, which gives to 2,50,000, and the percentage is 5%. 2,50,000 into 5% gives 12,500. So here you can see 5% of the income tax slab between 2.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs is 5%, nothing but 12,500. Here you can see 12,500 is same for new tax regime and old tax regime. In old tax regime, as the income is 5,25,600, it comes under the slab 20% for old tax regime. Here you can see it is 20%. Whereas in new tax regime, the taxable income is 9 lakhs, where it comes under the income tax slab between 7.5 lakhs to 10 lakhs. So we need to calculate it, the taxes in new tax regime 5%, 10% and 15%. Here we have calculated 5%, 10% and 15%. Whereas in old tax regime, the taxable income is 5,25,600, so it comes under the slab 20%. Here we need to calculate the tax of 5% and 20%. So we have calculated the 5% tax in old regime. Now let us see how 10% tax is calculated in new tax regime. Here the 10% is nothing but 10% which is between 7.5 lakhs to 5 lakhs. That is 7,50,000 minus 5 lakhs into 10%. That gives 25,000. Here we can see 10% slab in new tax regime is 25,000. How the 25,000 has been calculated. Then comes 15%. Because the salary is between 7.5 lakhs to 10 lakhs, that is 9 lakhs is the taxable income, we need to calculate 15% as well. So 15%, how it is calculated? 15% is nothing but the range is between 7.5 to 10 lakhs. Here the taxable income is 9 lakhs. So we need to minus 7.5 lakhs from 9 lakhs. So 9 lakhs is the taxable income minus 7,50,000 is the slab, which will comes to 1.5 lakhs, and the percentage of taxable is 15%, which comes to 22,500. Here you can see 15% slab, that is 22,500. So together the taxable income is 60,000. Whereas in old tax regime we have calculated till 5%, 10% is nil, 15% is nil, and the 20% we need to calculate. So in old tax regime the income is 5,25,600, so it comes under 20% bracket. So let us see how this tax slab of 20%, that is 5,120, has arisen. For that, now we have opened the calculator. Now we need to calculate the 20% slab. The taxable income is 5,25,600 minus 5 lakhs. 25,600 into 20%. That comes to 5,120. Here you can see 5,120. So in old tax regime the tax to be paid is 17,620, whereas in new tax regime the tax to be payable is 60,000. Then comes rebate. As the income is above 5 lakhs, there is no rebate, so it shows as 0. Surcharges 10% and 15% is for those employees whose salary is beyond 50 lakhs and 1 crore. Hence it is 0. Then comes cess. Cess is 4% of the tax. Here the tax is 17,620. So 4% of 17,620 is 705 rupees. That is nothing but 705 rupees. The same way we can calculate the cess of 4% for new tax regime. The new tax regime is 60,000. Hence 60,000 into 4% gives to 2,400. So when we combine the tax and education cess, comes to be 62,400 is the income tax to be paid under new tax regime annually, and 18,324 is the tax to be paid annually under old tax regime. When it is divided by 12 months, the tax to be paid on monthly basis is 1,527 per month in old tax regime, whereas 5,200 is the tax to be paid deducted at source from salary in the new tax regime. So dear friends, hope you understood how the income tax or TDS is calculated. Now let us move on to the investment, how this is calculated, that is 3,74,400, and what is the use of this table. As we have already seen the investments and exemptions limitations, here are few exemptions and investments which has been declared by this employee. Standard deduction limitation is 50,000. By default it is 50,000. It is completely exempted. HRA is 1,37,000. This table will give you how HRA is calculated. Just for the time being, just keep it aside. We will discuss about how HRA is calculated after some time. But the HRA calculated is 1,37,000, which is exempted. Under section 80C with the limitation of 1.5 lakhs, home loan principal is 20,000, tuition fees is 35,800, EPF, employee provident fund, that is 23,200, LIC premium, that is 31,000, fixed deposit is 0. So together the limitation is 1.5 lakhs, wherein here the employer has declared 1.1 lakhs, which means all are exempted from taxes. Professional tax is 2,400, interest deduction home loan under 80 interest is limitation is 2 lakhs, wherein he has declared 50,000. Educational loan interest is 0. Section 80T medical premium limit is 25,000. 25,000 is claimed. Section 80T TA interest on savings limit is 10,000 is 0. So if you combine all together, the total is coming to 3,74,400. So this is the amount which the employee has invested and exempted for taxes. So this amount can be completely exempted. Here the investment duty is declared as 3,74,400 is exempted from taxes. Hence we have declared as investments. So hope you understood how this 3,74,400 has arisen. Now let's move on to HRA. So you might be having a question that how HRA is calculated. I have already made a video how HRA is calculated, but then I'll explain you how HRA is calculated in detail right now. To calculate HRA, we need to have actual basic salary, actual rent paid, actual HRA. So these are the three components which are mandatory. Actual basic salary we don't know, so we need to calculate. Actual rent paid we know it because the amount which is paid by the employee to the house landlord is nothing but actual rent paid. Actual HRA we need to calculate. So we need to calculate actual HRA and actual basic salary. So to calculate the basic salary, we need to have the gross salary. So we know what is CTC. CTC is nothing but cost to company, that is 9 lakhs, which we have already discussed. Then we need to see how gross salary and basic salary is calculated. In my previous video, I explained you what is CTC, what is gross salary, what is basic salary, what is HRA and what is net salary. But in short, I will be explaining CTC is nothing but gross salary plus employer contribution. Here employer contribution is EPF plus ESIC plus gratuity, that is 40,000 is being declared. So 40,000 plus 8,60,000 comes to 9 lakhs. That is nothing but CTC. So hope you understood how gross salary is as arisen. That is CTC minus employer contribution will give gross salary. Basic salary. Basic salary have directly taken as 50% of the gross salary. Then comes HRA. HRA I have taken 40% of the basic salary. HRA is calculated on metropolitan and non-metropolitan city. As the employee is from Hyderabad, which is a non-metropolitan city, the HRA should be 40% of the basic salary. Hence, I have calculated as 40% of the B3, that is nothing but 40% of the basic salary. So friends, hope you understood how CTC, gross salary and basic salary and HRA is arranged. This is for annually and this is for monthly basis. So now we have understood gross salary, basic salary and HRA. Now let's enter the details here. Actual rent paid by the employee is 15,000, which we need to enter manually because it is the declaration which is given by the employee to the HR how much rent he has paid for that landlord for that specific month, for that specific financial year. Here the actual rent paid per monthly is 15,000, annual is 1.8 lakhs. Actual basic salary. Actual basic salary I have taken here from basic salary, that is nothing but 35,833, 85,833. Actual HRA. Actual HRA calculated is 14,333, 14,333. This is the monthly basis and this is the annual basis. So all the details which are required for HRA are arrived. Now let us see how HRA's exemption is calculated. So there are three formulas which need to be calculated, and among these three formulas, whichever comes to be less is exempted from taxes. Now let us see what are the three formulas are. Actual HRA. Actual HRA is directly pulled from actual HRA, that is 14,333. Then comes 40% of the basic salary. 40% of the basic salary, here the basic salary is 35,833 and 40% of basic salary is nothing but 40% of 35,833 and the amount aroused is 14,333. Finally, the third formula is actual rent paid minus 10% of basic salary. Actual rent paid is 15,000 minus 10% of basic salary. 10% of basic salary is nothing but 3,583. So 15,000 minus 3,583 gives to 11,417. So these are the three formulas for monthly basis is calculated and multiplied by 12 months gives these three formulas. Here among three formulas the HR calculated is 1,72,000, 1,72,000 and 1,37,000. So among these three formulas, whichever is less is exempted from taxes. Here 1,37,000 is the amount which is less among all the three formulas, hence 1,37,000 is exempted under HRA. So the same amount is highlighted over here. That is nothing but HRA exempted is 1,37,000. So dear friends, hope you understood how HRA is calculated, how investment and exemptions are calculated, and how the taxes are calculated in old tax regime and new tax regime, and finally how TDS has arisen. So dear friends, hope you understood how to calculate income tax. I'll give this Excel sheet link in the description. If you would like to download and use it, please download the Excel sheet and use it for your calculations. So dear friends, hope you understood how to calculate income tax in new tax regime and old tax regime, how to calculate HRA, how to calculate investments and exemptions, and finally how to calculate income tax and how income tax calculator works. If you have any questions or queries related to this video, please do comment in the comment section. I'll be happy enough to answer all your queries. And if you like this video, please do subscribe and share among your friends. Thank you very much for watching this video. Have a nice day.